You don't say. You don't say. So I had a lovely teacher early in my journey in science of mind. His name was Reverend Matt Comp. He was at the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science, and he went out to Palm Springs. He's not with us anymore. But every time I look at my watch and I see, well, I don't wear it now, but when I look at the watch with the face on it and I see the hands at 10 and 2, I'd always think of him because he wore very expensive watches. This guy lived in a land of prosperity, drove a Rolls Royce, loved fancy clothes and fancy watches. And apparently, you can tell the expensive watch ads by whether the hands are at 10 and 2, so you can see the name of the watch brand, right? That's one of my reminders of Reverend Matt. And the other one is, you don't say. See, he was a very compassionate person, but at the same time, he didn't have a lot of time to hear your story. He didn't really want to hear your story. So when you would be in the middle of telling your story and living your story, and then she said, and then I said, and then she said, he would go, you don't say. You don't say. Now, the beauty in that is people felt heard. They're like, oh, he's listening to me. He's hearing me, right? But at the same time, a very science of mind thing to do. He was doing the affirmation denial thing. You don't say. Denying the truth that they were trying to think of denying the story that they were trying to hold as their truth. Very powerful. And I've been using it ever since. You don't say. And it made me think, how many times do you have opportunities to say, you don't say? Like the time that this husband and wife were sitting on the patio and he's reading the paper and she's looking out at the view, sipping some wine. And he hears while he's reading, you know, I just love you, and if it weren't for you, I just don't know what I'd do. And he goes, is that you or the wine talking? And she says, oh, it's me talking to the wine. Now, he needed this phrase, you don't say. But it's amazing, though, the things that we say and the opportunities that we have to say, you don't say. When we're either reminiscing about the past or wishing about the future, we have these chances to say, we don't say. How many times do you get into a phrase and you hear yourself say, I never, or I always, or he always, or I haven't, or I can't, whatever it is. I can't play the drums. I don't have any rhythm. I can't dance. I don't even know what the beat is, you know. I'm never going to win the lottery. Maybe if you bought a ticket. But I'm never going to win the lottery, you know. I always lose. I always behind the slow driver. All these things that we tell ourselves, it's just terrible. If somebody told us, I know this for me, if somebody told me some of the things I tell myself, it'd be on. We'd be like, what? Because, you know, sometimes I tell myself stuff that I just go like, whoa, that's an old story. When are you going to let that go? You don't say. Stop it. You know? And the same thing with the future. What I want, what I hope I'm going to get, I hope I get this, I'm going to do that. And, you know, we can't do any of it until right now anyway. So why are we in that space? Why are we saying some of these things to ourselves? And we get the lesson. The lesson is there in all of the ancient writings and ancient wisdom teachings. In Luke, when Jesus came down off the mountain with the 12 guys he was hanging out with, I mean, I don't know what those guys were up to. They were some partying guys, you know? They didn't have two coins to rub between them. Well, a couple of them were wealthy, but most of them were pretty broke. Jesus was definitely broke, wore a seamless cloak, right? And that's expensive. To wear something that's seamless, and then they got invited to parties all the time. I mean, they were hanging out doing some crazy stuff. No wonder he had to pray so much so he could get to the next party. So he comes down off of this mountain, and all these people are hanging out going, Jesus is here, must be a spiritual rave going on, right? And so he comes down, and he's having this thing that he's talking to everybody, and they ended up calling it the Beatitudes. How about that? And one of the things he said in Luke 6:38, for with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. The measure is how we describe the length of things, right? So then the measure could be, for with what we describe, it will be described back to you. Or if you say it, it's going to be happening to you. It is done unto you as you believe, or it is done unto you as you say. So why are we saying some of the stuff that we're saying to ourselves? It's time for a little practicing of you don't say. Try it now. You don't say. Not bad. That's another thing Reverend Matt liked. Now, at North Hollywood, I'm going to tell on them, and we're on audio, so maybe some online, maybe some people from North Hollywood have changed that because I know Reverend Mark LaPonce likes to call and response. Matt loved call and response, and that just wasn't happening for him. And then he got this church out in Palm Springs, and he would do call and response, and they would scream back to him, and it made him so happy. When I was sitting there the first time I heard his sermon, I was like, oh, he's got a call and response congregation. He's so happy now. And you guys made me so happy, you don't say. I actually have been really emotional this week. And I don't mind saying that, and I don't want anybody to say you don't say. This is... walked right into that one. But it's just been, this is just pinch me. I love you guys. This is so wonderful. Where was I? I was getting emotional this week. And I think it's because I really had the experience of what I want to talk about next, and that is that the universe is listening. The universe is always listening. The I am that you spoke about becomes our identity. So the things we say about ourselves become who we are. So if we say that we're a loser, we become a loser. But if we say we are a winner, we become the winner. We start to see the winner. I call it the Mustang consciousness. You know, I think I might have talked about this before, but I'll say it again. And I may repeat myself over time, but that's okay. I'll try and couch it in a different way so it doesn't sound like a repeat. So you decide you want to buy a Mustang. You wake up the next morning, you're driving to work, and there's Mustangs everywhere. As if somebody last night sold 15,000 Mustangs so you could see a Mustang everywhere you go. No, you just set your consciousness to the idea that you wanted to manifest a Mustang, and they just start showing up so you can start shopping before you get to the dealership and start seeing the models that you want. That's the I am. That's the identity of who you are showing up in the world for you. That happens when you say what you mean to have as the outpicturing of your life. And again, the facts may sometimes change in our lives, but the experience always remains the same. So we have to remember that we've got this universe with these really big ears. And you know how the big ears show up? They show up as your subconscious. Your subconscious. And the subconscious, Dr. Holmes says, is the seat of memory. It's holding on to the experiences of the past. And as I was thinking about this yesterday, I had to do a rewrite on part of my talk because I was watching University of Michigan trounce that other team. I'm going to talk about Brigham Young right now. But at one point, they called it instant replay. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. They went to the instant replay. When we have a story that we tell ourselves, we could actually go for an instant replay. And in the instant replay, you can slow down the tape and look and to see whether the knee touched the ground. You can slow down and use your 20/20 hindsight to look back at the experience you had and dissect it and break it down to the place where the facts may sometimes change for you so that we can experience something new. You see, because something happened doesn't mean you have to feel it the same way when you look back at it, because we're learning and we're changing along the way, you see. And Dr. Christian Sorensen and Peter Weldis wrote this book called The Joyous Living Journal, and in it, Dr. Christian wrote, for things to be different, things have to be different. I know. I thought the same thing. I went, huh? And then I thought, oh yeah, for things to be different, things have to be different. And I can start making things different with how I define the experiences in my life. Okay, it hurt me. Didn't feel good. What am I going to do about that? Well, I can look back at it and say, wow, how did I walk into that? How can I respond to that differently the next time around? How can I change that condition so that things can be different? See, facts may look the same, but they change in relation to experience. When Columbus, and it's coming up pretty soon, discovered what he thought was a new world, people thought before that he was going to fall off the edge of the earth. Facts were, the earth was flat. Fact turned out to be, the earth was round. The fact changed as we got more idea, more story, more information around the idea. So when you do the instant replay of the things that happened in your life, the stories that you're telling, you have the new experience of what you've walked forward since that thing happened, and you look back at it with new eyes, and you can see new ideas around it, so you can come and see that that experience was not flat, that it actually is round, and you can change your reaction to it. Things can be different. And it's a good thing to do because, telling your story over and over and over the same way, that's kind of lazy in a little bit. Really. Get on this, use your mind in another way. And the mind is not really caring whether you're using it for good or for bad. It's just a principle that just goes to work. The mind doesn't care whether it's sitting on a worry problem or sitting on creating your better future. It really doesn't. But your life does. You do. That thing inside you, the I am that experiences life, the part of you that looks in the mirror and goes, who is that person? That's not how I feel. Where did the person I knew 19 years ago show up? Where did that wrinkle come from? We don't see ourselves the way our body throws up in the world. We see ourselves in this perpetual area of youth. I still think I can run a marathon. I still think I can go and skimboard on the beach until after I've done it, and then I'm going like, oh my God, what happened? I've been falling down all day. I get bruised. But I still try because my head says I'm still 19, It's crazy. So when you're thinking about this, think about how much time we may spend in worry or anxiety or dread. What a waste of energy to be fearful of stuff. What an expensive way to use the energy of our minds. I used to dread doing the dishes. We had chores. We had a chore list at home. I used to dread doing the dishes. I love ironing. There's some kind of a zen experience about ironing. I mean, does my shirt look good? Little creases are all nice, There's just something about it's just like a spray the starch or the steam or whatever. It's just a zen thing. Vacuuming. I love to vacuum. That was to get those lines in the carpet, with the old Hoover style. That I just love that. But the dishes, oh my God. Mom, just another commercial, please. I just want to, right after the next commercial. No, go do the dishes now. And then I would go into the kitchen and I would take all the dishes and I would divide them up and with the glasses here and the plates here and the bowls here. And I have this whole assembly line. In my head, I was thinking it's going to be a lot more efficient once I do all this. It would take me like 20 minutes just to set up. Plus, it took me 20 minutes to delay. And then it only took like 5 minutes to do the dishes. Whoa, all that worry, dread, and anxiety, what a lot of wasted energy. Now, I just go in, I don't care what the mess is. I just do the dishes. It takes the same amount of time without all the dread part before it. We have these wonderful opportunities to use our lives much more efficiently if we get out of the stories that we tell us and quit going to the you don't say and the worry and the dread and the past and just stay in the present and just do what has to be done. I did the same thing when I was at Holmes Institute. I'd have a paper to write. I would read about it and I'd fret about it and I'd sit around and, and at the last minute I'd write the paper out and it would be great. Why didn't I just do that 2 weeks ago? It only took me an hour and a half to write the paper, but I spent 2 weeks fretting about it. Why do we waste this kind of energy? Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, I love that name. Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. Thank God I don't have any kids. You'd be looking around here going, oh, that's Steve's son, Phineas. But he says, in the manuscripts, he says, our lives are a logical result of the movement of mind upon itself, creating a form like its image, which we experience. I'll just set that in there for a minute. Dr. Holmes summed it down real quick. It is done unto you as you believe. He also did something else when he said, change your thinking, change your life. Because it's a logical result of the movement of the mind. The movement of the mind are the thoughts that are moving through your mind. And the thoughts do move through our mind. We know that from the physiological understanding of how the brain works, right? Electricity to chemicals to the next side and then back into electricity and chemicals again. Your thoughts moving through your brain. So this movement in the mind upon itself, it's only happening within its own self, within the brain, is creating a form, an idea, right? An idea that shows up as an image. And then that's what we experience in our lives. So the stories that we are telling ourselves are becoming the experiences that we are living. This is Science of Mind 101, but are you remembering it on a daily basis? That's why you come back each week, to remind you, because remember I talked about all the inputs, all the stuff coming in to tell us different things in our lives. We need that opportunity to just go back and remember that it's just as simple as creating the form in our minds which we desire to experience. So it's time to write a new story. It's time to say something new, to affirm a change in your life. Because see, the universe holds absolutely nothing against us. It's only for our good. It truly is. It's really, the universe is really a pretty selfish thing when you think about it. I mean, it came into existence, boom, and it just kept expanding and expanding and expanding and bringing out new galaxies and new planets, and it just wasn't enough for it. It sounded like, gosh, I'm doing all these great things, but I can't talk about it. So boom, here we are, so that we can be the speakers of the consciousness of the universe. If you think about it, that's what we are. We are stardust. If you look at our bodies, physical makeup of our bodies, we are made of the same stuff that the stars are made of. The exact same materials. So we are actually the universe becoming conscious of itself. We are the proof of the selfish nature of the universe, that it wanted to tell its story, so it created something, us, that could tell its story. So how are we going to tell its story? How are we going to live it out to its fullest? So I think the way to live it out to its fullest is to get fat. I'm not now. All you folks on diets, all right, you don't say. Right, all these folks on diets, don't be thinking Reverend Steve said, I don't need to be on a diet. I can just get as fat as I want to. No, I'm talking about faith, acceptance, and trust. Faith that there is something there within you that is dying to be outlived, to be expressed, a desire deep within. Diane knows about it. That's why she takes thousands of pictures. And Lynn knows about it. That's why she sang at Wednesday Alive. Patrick, I love coming to Wednesday Alive. Thank you for the music this week. That was really fun. The group was awesome. If you don't get to come to Wednesday Alive, do come to that sometime. They were good. The band was good. We loved that. That was good. And she sang. I figured it out for myself when after 33 years, I was a college dropout. I used to tell folks, I dropped out. I was proud. I was actually proud of it. Like, I don't do college, That was like a badge. And then I got my practitioner license, and I realized I really love learning. In fact, I had spent those 33 years out of school learning an awful lot. Taught myself all about the weather, and you know how that turned out. Not so bad, And so I got that prac license, and I realized how much I enjoyed studying. And I mentioned it to a friend, and he says, there's a school for people like you. It's called Antioch. Yeah, there's a school of people like me. It's a short bus. No. and at Antioch, they give you credit for life experience. So, as well as having coursework too. So it's a limited amount of credit, but I was able to qualify for the credits. So I walked into school with 40 units right there, and then it just took a little bit of time, and next thing you know, I got a bachelor's in theology and liberal arts. Not bad. And then I went from there into Holmes Institute and got a master's in consciousness studies. After 33 years, it's never too late. You can do this. And Rumi talks about it. He says, let yourself be drawn by the stronger pull of what you really love. Let yourself be silently drawn by the stronger pull of what you really love. It's not too late to do that thing that you really love. Sometimes along the way, the job that you currently have may be the one that fuels the funding for the love of what you really want. And you may have to be in a transitional mode. Sometimes the call is just to stop doing that and to switch and go do something else. You will know if you spend some time in that gap space I was talking about and let it unfold inside of you until you just can't know anything but that. Until you can't do anything but what you really love. And how many of us are fortunate enough to do what we really love? I contend far too few. Far too few. We are all here to be of service, as Angela's song was talking about. And that service that we're to be of is that divine call, that urge within us. Your ultimate, resplendent good emerging. That's what your urge is. It's your ultimate resplendent good trying to come forth. And we all have it. And so many of us have had it stamped down over the years. But we can move into that as we begin to tell ourselves a new story. As we begin to tell ourselves, you don't say to the old story, and you do say to the new one. I love old-time radio shows. And there's one I really like a lot. It's called Lights Out. And I don't know if you listen to those things with the call to it at the beginning. It is later than you think. And then Arch Oboler would come on and tell you about the story. Well, now is the time. It's never later than you think. It's right now is the only time. Now is the only time we could ever do anything. Now is such an important time that a guy wrote a book about it that's so big with so many pages, you cannot even read that whole book now. You have to read it now and now and now and now. Now it takes a lot of nows to read that book. You know what I'm talking about, Eckhart Tolle, right? Or Tolle. All right, do you know how to say his name for real? Huh? Tolle. Let's go. Let's go to the videotape. We can hear it in his own voice. I think he knows how his name is said.
You realize whatever you can bring about in your life is not such a great deal, even becoming famous. For many people, that's, I want to come out of obscurity. There's this strange expression, he's living in obscurity. What does that mean? One magazine said, suddenly Eckhart Tolle emerged from complete obscurity. I didn't know I lived in obscurity. But it was in the magazine, so it must have been true.
It was in a magazine, so it must have been true. You don't say. How many times we read something in a magazine, we think it's true. But anyway, how about that? It's Tolle. Good. Some of you knew that. I did. I was like, Tolle. So I looked it up. Yeah. But now is such an important time. Now is the only time we can live. It's not the past. It's not the future. It's happening right now. Now is the time to tell your story. And when you finish telling your story and you begin to step into that dream that you're waiting to live, now will be the time that you're living that dream too, because it just keeps on coming. Dr. Holmes says, life is declaring itself in and through us this very moment, urging us to wake up to what we really are. You can't shake this. If for any reason you're feeling any kind of dissatisfaction with your life, if you wake up in the morning and you're thinking, oh, I gotta go to work today, or you just, oh, this bed feels so good, I just want to stay here. Okay, some days that's a valid feeling. But if it's a continuous, chronic kind of a thing, it might be this life declaring itself through you, urging you to wake up to what you really are and to who you really are. Now, fortunately, in this room, I can feel it. A lot of people are living the joy of who they really are. And that's wonderful. And because we are, we get to be lights to those that are around us that may not be living that way. We get to be the reminders by who and what we are that they can be who and what they really are. And to anchor that, I thought we would do a little challenge today because Dr. Holmes also, and I got these quotes came from A New Design for Living. Wonderful book, A New Design for Living. And he says, we have to drain each moment dry of all the joy, happiness, and success it contains. Now that is an incredible challenge because I guarantee you, you will not be able to do it because we're talking about the universe. You cannot drain each moment dry of all the joy, happiness, and success. That means there is unlimited and infinite joy, happiness, and success available to you in each and every moment. How many of us actually believe that? How many of us actually live that way? I don't think that many, because there's so many messages that tell us that we can't. There's so many messages we need to say, you don't say to, right? What are the things we can do to help anchor our understanding that we can drain those moments, that we can fill them with success, that we can be joyful, that we can be happy, is to affirm the truth of who we really are. So let's do some affirmations. That's how we're going to close out today, with a number of affirmations. The first one being, and together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Today, I release all thoughts of fear from my mind. Fear. You've heard the acronym, false evidence appearing real. I change it to face everything and rejoice. Face everything and rejoice, all right? All right, here's the next one. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Today, I uncover the perfection which resides in me. Next one. I know there is nothing within me that can obstruct the glory of the divine expressing through me. God blossoms into expression through the words I speak. Now, when I spell good, I almost say God because I make it capital G, capital O, little o, capital D. So that subliminally you see God when you see good. One more time with this one. Good blossoms into expression through the words I speak. Next one. Something marvelous, new, and wonderful comes into my experience today, right now. And here's the one you take you home. You should take your home one right here. Today, I'm telling a more powerful, more fulfilling story. That's what I'm saying, and so it is. That's what I'm saying. Look at you smiling all big over there. You're going to sing in a minute, but we're going to pray first. All right. Mark, thank you so much for last week. Was that great last week? Huh, Rob, you ready, soul? Mark, and celebrating with the prayers. It was wonderful. All right, so we're going to go in this moment of reflection and divine understanding where we speak the truth of who we really are, what we really are. So bring to consciousness right now any conditions or effects in life, any old stories that you've been telling or that you've heard somebody tell that we're going to rewrite in this moment now. And affirm the spiritual truth of that idea. For you see, there is only one mind, and that is the mind of God. There's only one life. It's God's life. And we are a part of, an expression of that life. As the master teacher said, the Father and I are one. When you are one, you're with it. You are it. So feel the power. Feel the presence. Feel the potential, the possibilities that exist, knowing that you are one with the Father, Mother, God. And so we bring all of that to every cell, organ, and fiber of our being in this moment as we speak this word of truth. That we are divinely guided, guarded, and directed into our good. That only harmony, peace, joy, and happiness live forth through the experiences of our life. That we find it easy to express our best. That nothing stands in the way of our good. Nothing can obstruct, nothing can stop, nothing can block, nothing can constrict the flow of what is moving through each and every one of us. We're powerful beings, beings of light, and we use that light to step into our present moment in glorious and wonderful ways. I speak a word of healing, of right action, of divine guidance, of harmony in relationship, the perfect place of employment, the relaxation of stress, the return to wholeness of the body, not just the body of physical kind, but the body of affairs. I know that good alone goes forth because of this word into the lives of each and every person listening to my voice in this moment. I speak as one for each and every one of us in this space. So from this space, I say thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, Divine Presence. Thank you, Infinite Spirit, for the joy, for the power, for the truth of the word spoken. And I release this prayer into a loving law that has only one thing to say, and that is yes. That's what I'm saying. And so it is.